And welcome to Being Black and Craft, where we don't apologize for recognizing our influence on craft beer. This is Angie, the undeniable vixen, your host. And of course, we have a wonderful guest. But let's get into, of course, some news. So, what we have here, lots of things have been going on. Now, I know they say things are in threes, but we actually got them in fours and more. So usually I don't do this, but it's so many iconic and people who have been so much a part of our culture that I would be remiss without saying rest in peace to Tito Jackson, Rich Homie Quan, Frankie Beverly, and my absolute favorite. Oh my goodness. And my name the name is going out of my head. James Earl Jones, which if you know, I'm a Star Wars fan, so Darth Vader is has left us, as well as other iconic films that he's been in. But rest in peace to those. So, wanted to give you some big news. If you have seen, usually in the outro, we've been talking about Clink Fest, which is a BIPOC, BIWOC wine festival, and now they're a nonprofit. So, this marks a major milestone in our journey in uplifting and amplifying women, Black, Indigenous women of color in the wine and spirits industry. So, as we celebrate this achievement, we invite you to come to their third Clink Fest, September 22nd. So it's coming up like next week, very, very soon. And if you go to Clink Fest, you can get a link to their tickets on their bio. Now, I'll be there, but I'm hoping that you'll be there. California's largest Black beer festival, People's Beer Fest. So they have an amazing lineup, and they keep on coming with new information as far as who's all gonna be there, because we always want to know who all gonna be there. So with this ticket, because it's for these 3 days, you're gonna be going walking around with the National Black Brewers Day, People's Bottle Share. They're going to have a trivia night. Marcus Baskerville is doing part of the education workshops, as long as others. They're going to have the fixings and beer pairing, then the big beer festival, the official after party, the Brewers brunch, as well as Nappy Roots will be headlining when they have those different tiers as far as like musical acts. Nappy Roots is going to be the headliner, and this is at Oak Park Brewing in Sacramento. So I hope to see you there. Now, one thing I want to make sure that I wanted to be um, intentional with coming to October 10th, and it's coming up very soon. Black Brewers Day. This has been a labor of love of people who are in the Black beer industry. And not only have they taken this as far as grassroots in honoring Black brewers and making it a day of celebration on October 10th, and they're wanting more people to be a part of this. So on this day, we honor and celebrate the great contributions of Black brewers in the craft brewer community. And they have a number of ways that they're wanting people to do it. Get in contact with your legislature and ask them that you want to have a National Black Brewers Day on October 10th. I believe Las Vegas, California, Texas, not yet, I'm hoping. And I believe maybe Colorado, maybe. There's a couple. So want to make sure that you remember to use the hashtag October 10th, hashtag Black Brewers membership, hashtag Black Brewers Day. So share that on your social media. Now, I want to keep on with National Black Brewers because they're doing a whole lot of different things. So one thing they're going to do is they are going back to the Great American Beer Festival again, and they are going to have their own sanctioned tap room. So it's going to feature breweries Full Circle, Cage of Fire. Grown folks will also be there. Friend of the show, Rhythm Brewing, Crown and Hops, Vine Street, Montclair, Spangling Brewing as well. Now, if you're over in Colorado, because that's where Great American Beer Festival is going to be, they're also going to have an after party as well. But you can get to meet the National Black Brewer Association. If you want to join, you'll have a great opportunity to do it there as well. And also, you use those hashtags again, Black Brewers Day. And they will also have an after party. If you go to the National Black Brewers Association, you can right up under the toolkit, under that, you can use that link and you can RSVP and make sure that you have a ticket because I'm sure the space is going to be limited. So, some sad news. Um, kind of knew was going to happen because with Weathered Souls, they're going ahead and closing, and kind of had an idea because the owner or one of the owners was ready to go ahead and retire. It's like he's tired, he's ready to, sail off into the sunset and enjoy the last chapter, and just kind of enjoy not be a part of the brewing industry. So they're closing. Um, some people are surprised, some people are not surprised. We wish them the very best. I really do hate, regardless of how you feel with with Marcus being there and not being there. Still, there are people that's not going to have a job anymore, and I hope that they fall on their feet well and find something else, maybe another brewer or something else that may be uh, financially stimulating and stable for them. So, speaking of Marcus, oh, I skipped something. Speaking of Marcus, because I want to keep on Weathered Souls and San Antonio, Marcus Baskerville just wrote a book, Wood, Barrel, and Time, The Art of Barrel Aging. So if you know Marcus, you know that he is a lover of barrel aging beers, and he makes some great ones, some iconic ones. Um, Kicked Out the Waffle House is one that comes to mind. Um, and they have always been sought after all across the nation, all across the world. So, introducing Wood, Barrel, and Time, the art of barrel aging, the essential guide to every craft beer enthusiast. Step into the world of barrel aging and uncover how brewers are turning great beers into legendary sips through the magic of wood and time. So, while you'll love this book, expert insights, learning on how to do the top barrel aging brewer helped push the boundaries of barrel aging, unique techniques, explore how wood, barrels, and aging time impacts flavor, and craft beer journey, discover the rich history and innovative methods from brewers across the globe. So that is something really great. He has a book. It's available on if you just use his link on his page, and it's also available through Amazon. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read that book. And that's probably what I'll be doing because I need to use my money. I don't use Kindle Unlimited enough, so I need to use that $12 they all taking from me. So let me go back. And this is something I'm really excited about coming up in Kansas City, October 5th through the 27th, or October 25th and 26th is the main thing. I'll be there till Sunday. So Friday night is going to be just basically music, bougie, brass and bougie. So live band. I love live music. It's going to be really great. But the very next day, Hip Hop's Hooray at Vine Street in Kansas City, Missouri. And This place is huge. It's an architect just phenomenon. I love looking at old buildings, and especially since they had to take time with making sure that that stayed present. Especially like Art Deco. I love Art Deco stuff. But get to see the facility, and they keep on adding different breweries and different distilleries, which I didn't know they was gonna have liquor, so I'm real excited. Um, Coming up on the 26th. So some people that you probably have seen or heard of, especially at the other festival for Barrel and Flow. Some of these same folks are going to be there. So I hope that you check it out. Oh, go to their website as well. Go to Vine Street Brewery on Instagram, and they are giving away 2 tickets as well as a discount ticket if you use their link. So don't forget that. And that's all I think I have as far as news. So, all right. So we're ready for our guests. Good
Hello.
evening. Hi, Don. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you.
Awesome. So I'm very, very excited. Um, if if you haven't seen any of the posts that I put up, we are getting
Yeah.
the opportunity to talk to Don. Well, let me back up. Dr. Don O PhD, because you pay for them alphabets. And people need to know about them alphabets behind your name. So let me correct myself. So and I'm glad to know I'm getting a little bit there we go, getting a little bit closer. I felt like a heel at first that I didn't know anything about the product, but then you were telling me backstage that you just came out in Juneteenth. So I'm
Yes,
glad to know that this is relatively new on the market.
brand
Now,
new.
one question I think I saw, and I want to make sure that I got it correct. Now, um, I got this bottle as a gift, and they were saying New Orleans, but then I was reading something about distribution being from somewhere else. So can you explain how that happens?
Yeah. So I am located in New Orleans. That's what I call home. And when I went out sourcing bourbons, I worked with MHW, which they do distribution, but they also have a program where they help people who want to start either distilleries or their own brands and everything connect with contract distillers. And I didn't want to go to one of the larger contract distillers. So they put me in touch with a bunch of wonderful distillers from around the country. I think I had something like 15 or 16 in the end. And I whittled it down to Alton Distillery for this first offering. So this is our 6-year-old bourbon whiskey. And they're out of New York, in Bethel, New York, just near Woodstock. And so bourbon is coming from New York, but company is located in New Orleans. And I always feel like I have to make the note of we're working with Alton for our first 2 offerings, this 6-year-old bourbon and a 10-year-old wheated that we're hoping to release this fall. And then we're going to switch coasts and go over to California to another wonderful distillery for a rye come spring. So my idea, I'm super transparent about everything that I'm doing. My idea is to uplift some of these much smaller distilleries and the amazing craft spirits that they have. But one of my goals is just to bring new bourbons, whiskeys to the market, to your palates. So things are always going to be changing. There's always going to be something new to try.
Okay, okay. Well, let me step back just a little bit. So, um, you are a biologist by trade.
Yes.
So, how did you get into sitting back and it's like, you know what, one day I want to be a biologist. What did little Dawn get into to make her go to I want to be a biologist?
So when I was growing up, my family did a lot of things outdoors, and my father was a part of what they were called the ski bums. I grew up actually in Cleveland, Ohio, and they were the ski bums. And in the summer, they would do canoeing and camping and golfing and other outdoor like hot summer activities. And in the winter, we learned to ski. So I like very fortunate in that sense that I like started skiing like at the age of 2 and all of that. And so that built a really, I'll say, a strong affinity for nature and being outdoors, growing up like that. And then when I was actually, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I don't know. And truly, it's because I had no idea what you could really do outdoors. It was like, you could be a forest ranger or what is it? Flipper was on television at the time. So I was like, okay, I want to be a marine biologist. My mother wanted me to be an engineer. And so while I applied to several schools that had marine biology programs, she's the one that pushed me to go to Washington University in St. Louis. And that was because they have a good engineering program as well as a good biology program. So she was like, you should keep your options open. And I never wanted to be an engineer. I thought engineering was mostly math. And I was like, I'm terrible at math.
Mm.
My mother sent me to math camp for girls and everything.
No.
I went to women in engineering, like super nerd. And so I, jumped when I went to undergrad. Again, I was thinking marine biologist until I actually overheard a professor talking to another student about ecology research programs. And my advisor had mentioned nothing. I feel like I was like, it was kismet, whatever, karma, something was like, pay attention to what this man is saying, like overhearing this conversation, because it changed my whole life. And I ended up going to
Wow.
University of Virginia to study birds, and then to Indiana University to get my PhD in ecology with the same people that I had, done that summer research program with. And then off to the world of conservation.
That is so cool. That is amazing. Huh. Wow. I when I think about engineering, I too think about math. And
Yes.
I think about how much I hate math. And the only thing I think about engineering now is because I don't know if you are have a partner or not. I don't. I'm single. The only thing that I think about is the organization for engineers, black engineers. I
Yes,
want to
yes.
know where those events are at, and just just
And just
hi,
huh?
hi, how are you?
I've married an engineer, and so and I always joke he does all the math whenever I want to be like calculate math. But it's like it turns out biology is a whole lot of math. I was shocked when I found myself
Really?
modeling. Yes, I was like modeling, and I was like, kids, I just wanted to touch the birds and be outside, trapped in front of this computer.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, okay. So how do you think that being in that profession helped you get into the bourbon business or the distilling business?
Yeah, well, I'll say first and foremost, when I was in graduate school, I was in with a group of nerds who were really into bourbon. And so my experience with bourbon before that had been through my family, you know, various tastings and whatnot at very like family reunions and family gatherings and all of that. But this group of people, they were like really into bourbon. And so that's where I would say I developed my palate. And I had always thought in my head, oh, one day maybe I'll retire and open a distillery. But the conservation side of things is really where I feel like it has really shaped my thinking and everything. And it has made it so that as I think about spirits and distilling and all of that, how can this be more sustainable? Because they're so interlinked when you think about distilling and it's like, okay, we need good, clean water. We need these grains and everything, corn, wheat, barley, rye, and all of that. It would be great if we could grow them organic or with regenerative agriculture, which repairs the soil. But more importantly, we just need them to be grown. And as you talk about climate change and droughts and everything, it's like I think people don't really realize, but your whiskey, some of your spirits, they're in danger too because we are
Mm,
not taking care of the planet. And so that for me has really shaped how I think about all business, is sort of thinking like, can we have this in the future? Because I'm not down for that apocalyptic Mad Max, whatever, where we're drinking
right.
super crappy spirits. I want to be able to drink my bourbon and everything until the end of time. And so I'm really sort of thinking about how we can make sure that happens.
That's a really great point. And, I usually think about the farmers as far as like our Black farmers and how, making sure that we keep that ecosystem together
Yes.
from the distiller to the Black farmers. But I didn't think about as far as the actual product, the actual raw materials, and how they may be in danger. So that's good to know. Um, Let me also kind of switch some things as far as like um, you being new to this realm as a woman, as um, a doctor coming into this realm as far as distilling. How has it been for you being in a male dominated arena? How have you been received, or have you had any pushback?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'll say two things. One, I was super lucky to again meet up with MHW and Ian Perez in particular, because he took great care and he gave me hope when I was talking to others and they were essentially like poo-pooing my idea where I wanted to go, because it's not like you don't have any bourbon brands, that people who have just started brands, if you will, it's not a new concept. It's just that it's not familiar to a lot of people. And so I'll like speak in specifics. I was looking for somebody to help me with business law, contracts, and whatever. And this guy was like essentially like, I've never heard of this. This sounds complicated and difficult and whatever you want to call it. Like maybe you
Hmm.
need to go back to the drawing board and rethink this. And it was like it was a blow, because it was like, what? Huh?
Like
Like,
rethink you going into the bourbon business,
yes,
period?
exactly. And it wasn't even somebody in distilling. It was like a lawyer who had supposedly worked with other but he had only worked with distilleries, but he had supposedly was, well, whatever, versed in law as it related to the spirits industry. And it was like, you're the one who doesn't know the opportunities, and who are you to tell me? And so I have experienced a little bit of that pushback of, oh well, this is not a path well traveled, are you sure, and all that. But I've also met, and I won't lie, many of them have been Black people in the spirits industry who have taken me under their wing, who are mentoring me, who are lifting me up. I recently went to Tales of the Cocktail in New
Oh,
Orleans. It's my
yes.
first time going, and I met this beautiful community of Black women who, like, it. I have watched from afar and been amazed, and they were just like, "Come on, Dawn, tell us your superpowers, let us know your weapon of choice and everything, and like, how can we collaborate?" And it has just been like this heartwarming but also like super uplifting experience. And I really needed that, especially because I come from conservation, and I have been the only in the room so many times. And that
Mm,
group of people you can sort of turn around and reach for, who have been fighting the battles and whatnot, is very small. And so I have to say, like, I am so grateful for all of the Black women and men who have come before me, who have, started, finished, and continue to fight those battles, because it is so wonderful to not be the only in many situations. Like, we're a small group, but it's amazing to not be the only.
that's good. That's really good. And I'm glad that you were able to find your tribe
Yeah.
so quickly. I've heard of Tales of the Spirit, and I've been wanting to go. I know it initially started out as being like a cocktail, like bartender kind of event. But I've always wanted to go as media to just kind of see what's out there. So I'm glad that you were able to find that. And it's it's disheartening to hear, with a lawyer, but it's like, no, you need to go and maybe you need to go and get some more education.
Yes,
And
yes,
and to be able to tell someone that. But I can just imagine someone telling me my dream is too confusing and not I don't get it enough to where you just need to start all over again. How dare you?
exactly. But it makes, I will say that is, and I have wonderful professional coach, now friend, who has been wonderful in reminding me when you start your own business, it is your business. And so it's like if somebody is not giving you that right vibe, you do not have to work with them. And I have been like relying on that a great deal where it's like, I'm trusting my gut more, if you will. And when I found this group of women lawyers, and it was like it was like night and day. They were like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that, so and so," and like they have, like I said, so helpful, so opening, and so it's like when you find your tribe, when you can find those people who give you the strength to push past the negative people out there, like it's amazing. You're like, I can do anything.
So, how is Ruby?
She is doing well. She is such a
Good.
character. She did recently have surgery because she cracked a tooth, but you
Oh,
would not, like, she's on soft food diet right now, and it's hilarious because she's like, no, I want to eat everything. I just want everybody to know that she is a diva. This is a dog who, when she gets full functioning of her teeth back, we will be buying her a Wagyu steak because, yes, my dog knows what
mm.
Wagyu steak tastes like, and it is her favorite. She is
I don't know what that
luxurious.
tastes like. I don't think.
She
Maybe,
is a
maybe.
luxurious dog. Every time we always joke because she's a Kentucky dog that we
Mm.
rescued from New York. And we always joke, though, that she's Kentucky full and through because if I pour myself some bourbon, she is always like trying to sniff and like, what is it that you're drinking?
Mhm.
And so those
Mhm.
pictures I have, that's not me forcing her to, that's her being like, I need to smell this. I know I can't drink it, but I want to know what's good.
Okay, okay. So Ruby is a part of would you say Ruby is a part of the day-to-day operations as far as the distilling, and or what else would you like to add for her to do? Because,
Well, I will say, she's been a true inspiration, if you will. And I say that just because for me, dogs are the animal that, like, I will say, holds you down. They like keep you honest, you know, remind you that there are more important things in life. I mean, when I am stressed out or really trying to figure things out, Ruby's like, we need to go for a walk. And so she's the one that gets me out of my head. We go for the walk and it becomes like, oh, new ideas popping in, and she's my snuggle buddy. That's really what it is. And so it's like whenever I need a hug, she's right there. We have a no kisses rule that because I can't, but I'm all for all of the snuggles and everything. But she's like I decided to incorporate her into the brand as a brand ambassador in large part because she's always there. Like it just felt like it was weird to not have her doing something as it related to this brand.
mm.
That's like she's my baby, and this company is my other baby. And I was like, I want my two babies to play together. So
So I loved it, of course, because I have two. I have Wookiee and Princess Leia, and
oh
so because I'm a Star. I told you honestly within the news, I'm a Star Wars nerd. So,
mm,
but Leia is the one that I do snuggles with, definitely. Wookiee is the one that hangs out with me if I decide I want to smoke a cigar, go outside and just chill on the patio and have a sip and have a cigar. So, I think that that's amazing to have Ruby be the brand ambassador for the brand. So that's really, really good. I think That's something different. That's something different. That's something
Yeah.
different. And there's a big Black dog mom groups. So
Yes.
you might get some more folks just interested in just seeing Ruby just hanging out because y'all were going. I saw the one picture where y'all were exploring, going. Y'all had the map out, and Ruby was like,
Yes.
"Yeah, I was like, so if we go here, it's like, okay, Ruby."
That is the captain of my kayak. It is true. She decides when we're done kayaking, where she wants to go. I mean, it's we have some wonderful times together. That's for sure.
Oh,
And
that's awesome. That's awesome. So is there any in your brand, or you want to have um incorporate any cultural aspects of your life, or even something that you have learned in the history as far as the brand?
yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we're trying to do a lot in order to elevate, I'd say, Black people, but Black women in particular in the industry. And so I have been working with quite a few bartenders trying to get, new Dawn cocktails, both because I want to be able to elevate and say, there are these amazing bartenders out here doing like truly like delicious cocktails and everything. And I don't know if like for many people like where you're going for your cocktails, but I know usually when somebody is like recommending a place, it's not always a place where a Black woman is behind the bar. And I think that's so
Mhm.
important because I think that our palates are different. I just discovered the Black Manhattan, for example, and it has a Verna in it instead of sweet vermouth. And I'm going to post a video about it on Friday.
Hmm.
And I tasted it and I was immediately like, this is a Manhattan with seasoning because it just was like way more complex than your regular Manhattan. And I want to see more of that. And so I've been playing a whole lot as it relates to right now with this offering, the 6-year-old bourbon that we have out with cocktails. And we have a couple of signature cocktails. In particular, there is the 40 Acres and a Mule, which is the cocktail that we came out with, the first cocktail we came out with for Juneteenth. That's a signature cocktail. It's definitely a play on that, 40 Acres and a Mule, but it's incorporating what many might consider as Black ingredients. So sorrel and, ginger and everything. It looks like it's a red drink. Another one is we had the Caribbean Bourbon Queen, and it's a pineapple, and it's definitely giving you those vibes from Jamaica, thanks to St. Elizabeth's Allspice Dram. And then in a nod to my husband, who's Turkish, we have Midnight and Kash, which is a fig and sparkling wine combination. Very fancy. Like it's just like, so we are just constantly sort of saying, hey, what are the cultural aspects that we want to combine in these cocktails? But for me, even more, I am very eager to collaborate with Black distillers out there. I know that, blending across distilleries has been a big thing lately, and I would love to get into some blending in addition to, doing some contract distilling and saying, hey, what do you got? How can I help? Because we were talking about Wounded Souls closing, and I know he's retiring, and so it's not the same, but it's like, I want us to be a big presence in this industry. I think that
Mhm.
it's a shame that we are really like, what is it? Something like 13, 14%, like in the distilling industry. And it's just like, that's not how it should be. We do what
That's
we do
right.
our fair share of drinking and everything. We should be able to have brands that we can support that are from,
Absolutely.
Black people.
Absolutely. I've never well, let me first say, if those who are watching, to make sure that you follow New Dawn Distilling, because it seems like, and I don't know if it's just every Friday or every once in a while that you have a young lady that's either yourself, or you have a young lady that have been making some crafted cocktails.
Yeah.
And I have been
My sister.
watching. Okay, it's your sister.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. So they've been making crafted cocktails. In fact, I wanted to mention I'm having the French entanglement,
As am
which
I. Yeah.
is a is an homage to the French Connection, which people who watched during the June episode when I did all the different type of black, what we would consider black cocktails or spirits, because we even did Mad Dog 2020. We did a whole
Oh my
homage.
goodness.
That was a time. That was definitely a time. But this is really great. Um, because I think the only thing that we knew about French Connection, well, I knew because I'm old, was the movie. And I didn't know where it
Yeah.
originated from. What, why we liked it was club drinks. And that was one of the
Yes.
club drinks. I want a French Connection. And it's like, where did that come from? So this is quite tasty. If that's what I've
Yes.
been sipping, y'all. And
This
I hadn't said a
is
word though
I will
with my
say
new
this
dog.
is one that I learned when I was at Tails because I hadn't heard of the French Connection before. And we had one, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I was like, I wonder what this is like with New Dawn. And so went down a little rabbit hole of research. And then my sister and I decided we were going to do a little race or well, we did a race for the French think it was 95. But we were like stuck on our French theme for the Olympics. And now
Mm.
this is like one of our favorite drinks. So if you were to hop in on a call when we're in the evening and everything, one of us might be sipping on this or the situationship, which is made with amaretto.
Now, I'll tell you one if you ever want to one up it. One of the 23rd Avenue Brewery, they told me something that's called a beautiful, which is basically
Oh,
French
beautiful.
Connection, but it's warmed. They warm it up.
Ooh. Oh,
So it
okay.
hits a lot faster.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
I I wanted to do it, but I was like, I cannot do this live because I've been so I I never did do it live, but I was like, this is interesting, very interesting. And they would
Deanne
have
and I are
several of
going to
those.
do that one once we hit into the colder season. That is definitely a beautiful. Okay, we are doing that one.
Yeah, call it beautiful.
Maybe we'll do that and we'll taste it live. See where we end up.
You've been forewarned. Well, as long as you have one, I think they had several. Like they finished the bottle, so that's why they were like turned over and turned out.
Oh,
So, let's take a break and let's play a little game.
uh-oh.
So as I was looking at your IG, scrolling, minding my business, loving Jesus like I do, I saw that you had some things with bourbon and books. And
Yes.
I too am a bibliophile. So I want to see, let me get my little notes here, see how you might fare as far as getting to know you as far as what you like as far as books. So the way we play the game, so I'm gonna give you a traditional cocktail. So you're
Okay.
gonna mash a cocktail with the jar of book that you would read. So if you know the particular book that you'd want to pair it with, or if you're thinking about the different type of book, either one.
Okay.
Now, if you feel that there's no connection, just say, I'll have water. So let's see how these drinks reflect the books that you've read. All right, let's go. So of course, the French Entanglement, which I'm having right now. So, what book would you see yourself sipping with, or what type of book?
Oh, so well, I would the immediate that popped in my head was Toni Morrison's Sula, but then I was like, or would I be drinking that with the situationship? So I'm like, but I think I'm gonna go with Sula is what I would drink a French entanglement with.
Okay. All right. Toni Morrison never disappoints.
No, she's my favorite author.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, she's amazing, and I think in high school I was having to read that in high school, and
Mhm.
one of my English teacher. She was like, it's not hard. If you have to have a dictionary in your lap while you're reading that book, that's just what you do. You figure it out. And and at first it was frustrating, but now, I'm so glad that she did because it opened up a whole nother world to me as far as like knowing that these different complex characters evolving in different
Yeah.
situations. So that was just amazing. So she's always R.I.P. Toni Morrison. So next one is a traditional whiskey sour with egg white.
I I guess I'm going to go with an untraditional book. I don't know if you've heard of Una Out of Order. It's one of my favorite books. But I feel like because she's the same, and I think of sours as being so very, very classic and everything. She's the same, but she's just bouncing through time. And so
Mm.
she will show up as, her 21-year-old self in her 50-year-old body type deal. And then she'll bounce back and be,
Wow.
in her 30-year-old body. And so I think I would go with Una Out of Order for sure.
UNA, Una.
Ooh,
Oh,
what is it? OONA, Out of
okay.
Order.
Don't, you're gonna find me at the library looking for these books now because that sounds very interesting.
I read a lot. I will admit, like you were talking about your Kindle and everything, and most of the time these days I can't even do the unlimited. I just have to buy it because my list is so. I have like books, so many books that I'm like I haven't read yet, but I'm getting to them, and I just keep buying new ones and then forgetting that I have
Yes,
all these.
I want to
I'm
go to the store
terrible.
so bad, and I said, "No, Angie, go to the library where they're free." So I have a
Yeah,
book on hold right now, and I have three books here that I need to read, and I have books on the shelf that I bought, but they're just sitting there waiting for me to read, and I want more. It's
exactly, exactly.
so this is a Kentucky Mule. So
Ooh. It's funny because I might go back to childhood classic and say Black Beauty for this, just because that one
yes.
has such, you've got that sort of horse racing, whatever, altogether.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Okay. I can get that. So this my favorite, dear to my heart, an old fashioned.
yes. And I think we just, or no, maybe I haven't paired it yet. It's a book called The Measure. I think that's the one that we're pairing it with. Have you read The Measure?
Yes.
Oh, that one is good. And that one I would say
Yeah.
totally got me starting to think life is too short. What am I doing waiting until I retire to start a bourbon business? That's crazy.
Mhm,
So I would say The
mhm.
Measure.
Okay. 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 Hot toddy.
Oh, I feel like what would I have with a hot toddy? I'm trying to think of, well, I know what I would do. So I went to Antarctica last Christmas, New Year's, whatever, and we listened to it on audiobook, but I fell asleep and I'm like, I have to read this. It would be Endurance, the story of Shackleton's exploration to Antarctica is what I would have with a hard
Mhm.
copy. And if you want to read a book about ridiculous men, essentially like what I caught, I was just like, these ridiculous men went out to Antarctica, got
Mhm.
stuck and everything, and by the grace of God, made it back. And it's
Exactly.
just, but you were gonna, the whole entire time, you will be sitting there thinking it's cold and whatever, and you're gonna want something warm for your soul. So, yes, I would go
Okay.
with that one.
Endurance. Okay. Okay. And I think this is the last one, Manhattan or out. Now you it's all up to you because since I know about a black Manhattan, so you tell me which one you.
I, hmm. So I guess there are three books. So that's the series. I think it's the All Souls series. It's a discovery of witches. oh, I can't remember the other two. It starts out with a Discovery of Witches. And I would probably do a Manhattan with a Discovery of Witches. And that's only because it's a 3-part series. And every single time I start reading the book, it's like I start out wanting a cocktail, then I want to switch to red wine, and then I want to switch to champagne, because that's just how this book goes. It's about witches and vampires. Um, set against set against history. They like go back in time to Queen Elizabeth's time at one point in time, and they're essentially, the reason why I love it is because they're using, what is it, witches, vampires, and demons as sort of stand-ins for diversity in the world, and how these communities have been separate. They've always been like, oh, we can't have any intermingling. But it turns out that not having the intermingling is literally, in this case, killing them and everything. They're not getting enough genetic mix up. So it speaks to me as a former biologist and scientist, but also as somebody who's really into the mysticism side of things. And yes, I would 100%. I would go for Manhattan, a Discovery, which is to start.
Okay. Okay. That sounds very good. All right. Well, thank you for playing.
Yes, of course. I'm always happy to meet a fellow bibliophile. I'm like, tell me what's on your list. What am I missing?
See, I'm more of a thriller. I've been getting into thrillers. I'll do some romance here. I did like a lot of Kennedy Ryan, but I like a little stabby.
I like
I don't,
stabby too. There's a little
what it
murder.
is. I don't know what it is with me.
Have you read Stacey Abrams has she's got the one with the lawyer who's clerking for the justice that dies. Have you read that one?
I read that one. She has a new one coming out, or
okay.
it's out. It's either out or coming out. She has a new one coming out.
Okay, I'll have to look for that one then.
Yeah, the last one that I keep on telling people about, like, should I read this? It's by Steve Kavanaugh, called 13, and it's a series.
Okay.
But it's basically the murderer is on the jury.
Oh.
And he is
13.
clocking these people out. It's called 13, and it's 13, and it's spelled weirdly, but if you put it in, it should come up. But it's Steve Kavanaugh.
Okay. I will look for that as soon as we hop off.
So let's dream for a second. Now, I know that we already talked about, we have our 6th year, we have another one coming out, and then we're going to have our rye. Do you want to have a brick and mortar store, or do you just want to just continue to just be an entity where you just have the your spirits coming out there? Tell me where you want to be within the next couple 3 to 5 years. Just dream out loud for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I have I feel like I have a vision board already set up, and so it's like, yes, I want to be able to offer. And so my thoughts are always, this 6-year-old bourbon, I might offer this for another 3 years, and then there'll be something else. We'll have some other bourbon. Again, we're all about keeping people on their toes and tasting new things. So that's one of my big things. I want to be able to offer, though, at the same time, like several different types of bourbons of different years. My dream is to be able to say, hey, we have this 6-year-old bourbon, then we have, maybe it's 7, and be able to, like, different batches, different barrels as you start pulling them out, to be able to allow people to taste the difference. Because I remember that used to be something that was really big in the industry back when I was in graduate school. So like, 2004 or 5 or something like that. And it sort of, drifted off with everybody wanting to consistency. But I like the inconsistency. I like the variety. I like being able to go in and say, these two are wildly different if you just take the time to taste them. But my big dream is to have New Dawn as my American whiskey portfolio, and then to have a yet unnamed mezcal portfolio, because that's my other love. And so I would love to branch out into mezcal again, and maybe even more so keeping to the small batch You're not going to be able to find it every year. And I say that because if you go to Oaxaca, Mexico, and you try mezcal, it tastes nothing like most of what you can get here in the States. Nothing. There is such variety, and mezcal is grown. It's like wine. There's like regions, and it's very different if you're getting it from, northern mountainous regions compared to regions closer to the ocean. And it's like you should be able to taste all of that variety. I just like this. I guess maybe what it really comes down to is wanting people to know that there is diversity, not only in people, but in our spirits, and how important that is, I think, for both well-being of our communities. Because when we try to like fit everybody into that one mold, that's when we start ending up dropping and excluding people. And I want it to be as inclusive as possible.
And honestly, I think I could trust you more to bring me a mezcal, because what people gravitate towards is the additional additives, the different extra stuff that they're putting in there, the glycerin, all of those different things to make it be smoother. Because although I know I sing it and shout it to the rooftops, those different things are not meant to be you don't shoot them, you
Yes,
sip them.
you
You
did
sip
them.
them just like you do a bourbon, and
Yeah,
savor them.
exactly.
And knowing that where your background is, I know that you would not put all that extra junk in there. Like, I need you to taste the realness of
Exactly.
this, and you're
I
going
want you to be
to
able to taste the
enjoy
land, the
it. Yeah.
effort that these communities are putting. Like even when it comes down to our bourbons, and one of the reasons why I went with Alton is because they worked with their farmers. They worked the farmer when they started out. They couldn't always get local. They worked with farmers to be able to get local. Then they worked with farmers to make sure they were organic and everything. And it's like that, it's like the whole communities are coming together in this, and it's better for everybody. And that's where it's like I want you to be able to taste that. You need to know the work, the effort that goes into your spirits, and how it like the difference it makes, and how they taste, and how you I personally how you think you enjoy them. Because when you have really good, you sip that slow, you savor it and everything. And like one of the best things I like is people get this and they smell it and they're like, oh my gosh, it smells so good and everything. And I'm like, yes, that is like hard work happening here in this glass and everything. Those are people behind all those smells. And you should know that. So
Yes. Look, I had an amazing time
same.
talking
Thank
to you
you.
and enjoying everything about enjoying your story, knowing where you are and where you are about to evolve into. So, make sure that you follow New Dawn Distilling. Dr. Dawn O'Neill, PhD, is
Thank
doing
you.
amazing things. And I look forward to the new offerings that are coming up. Now, let me ask you, so I don't know if if my friend was just in New Orleans, or did was she able to order that? How can we get New Dawn?
We are online, 43 states, shipped direct to your door. And we just got rid of shipping because I was like, this makes no sense. Hope to be in DC. I'll say this, I am learning this business as we go. What do they say? Building the plane as we fly it. And so I know I've been teasing, we're going to be in stores in a couple of weeks, in 2 months. And I just want everybody to know that I am working very hard for that to be the case. I have focused myself down to DC because Chocolate City, yay. And so that's where I want to have us in stores first and foremost. But you can get us online. The only states we don't ship to are like Hawaii, Michigan, Ohio, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and then Puerto Rico. But I will also say that I'm working on that to whittle that down to we're shipping to everybody except for, I think, Hawaii, Alaska, and Puerto Rico. Sorry, but shipping to y'all's way too expensive. It's just cost prohibitive. And I'm like, I'll put some in my bag and bring some to you, but that's about
Right? Okay, okay. So I look forward to seeing the new iteration, especially when you come out with the rye, because I am a rye drinker.
Me too.
I
And
found myself drinking.
you'll love it. It's an unusual rye. It's got like tropical notes to it and everything. It's like it's a really good sipper. That's what I'll say. Like you can I
Okay.
think it'll be beautiful in cocktails, but I am looking forward to people sipping New Dawn's rye come spring 2025.
Hey, that sounds like a plan. All right, well, let's go ahead and get on out of here. And thank you again.
Thank you so
People needed a beer, so the people made one. Crisp, lightly hot, little to no aroma. People's beer. It's the spot.